All right, all right, all right. Let's go. Let's talk a little Fins. How you feeling this morning, my man? You feeling good?
I'm feeling good, Big O. We're within a week, less than a
Yeah.
week.
I don't know what that means. They're just adding some players. I don't really think it's going to add anything to the season for me, to be quite honest. But before we get to that, how does this Ramsey thing end, dude?
Well, hopefully for the Dolphins, it ends in him getting traded either before this draft or on draft day. Whether that's as a piece, because it's not like you're going to get tremendous value for him already in his early 30s on that contract. But if it's either on draft day in a move up with some other kind of pick swapping going on, to make the math work as far as that table of pick value that teams have, then something like that would be the preference. If they go past draft day without him moved and you're still trying to move off of him, now that's a treacherous position to be in, because now you're talking about picks for next year, and you don't know if you're Chris Greer or Mike McDaniel if you're going to be around to make those selections. So clock is ticking on executing that Ramsey trade. So I actually wonder how long it had been since this was actually going on, and then now if putting it out there was kind of like, all right, we're within about a week of it, we got to start getting the word out more because we need to make this move before we end up making these picks this year.
Yeah, dude, this hasn't been going on for a really long time. This has probably been going on for a few weeks. But that's because the writing's on the wall and he wants to get the hell out. But I mean, they're not going to tell us the truth because the truth doesn't help them, at this point in time. And it's understandable. I understand the approach that Chris Greer took. He had to try to spin things as positive, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Nobody's trying to move Jalen Ramsey on that team because they're going to lose cap space, which makes them a worse team. And they're trying to save their jobs. So none of this makes sense. And if you knew you had to get rid of them early in the offseason, you probably would have made another move in free agency because you would have tried to accommodate some stuff. But come on, man. I mean, this is just it's just a bad there's just a bad vibe in that building right now. People aren't buying what the coach and everybody is selling. Unfortunately, players are clearly not on board with what's going on. That's it.
Yeah. And then what makes it so confusing is, since last time we spoke, because we spoke while in between when the news was already out, but then we hadn't heard from Chris Greer yet. And then it was so confusing how his sentiment was that Jalen Ramsey didn't come to us with the trade request. Now we're only hearing the team side of it. I know it's hard to believe, right? Like everyone is assuming that, but then he's not getting into specifics on what exactly it is as to the reason why all this is even happening. So are you insinuating it's the team that's trying to move on from him? Like you said, that doesn't make sense, because then it's the cap hit that increases for a team that's already pretty strapped on cash. You didn't make big moves in the first wave of free agency for that reason. So is it? I understand Jalen Ramsey maybe is. So that's when we start to speculate, right? Like, okay, I'm there thinking, I know Jalen Ramsey isn't like a leader type of rah and like and rally the guys. He sticks to himself. He does his own thing, and he does his own thing well. Obviously, he's a multi-time All-Pro, several times Pro Bowler, seven-time Pro Bowler actually, and I don't know if maybe they wanted him to take more of a leadership role. I don't know if he was probably culpable in a lot of those things that we heard at the end of the season about tardiness and guys not taking meetings seriously, getting there on time, and this and that, and things that you can't really have in an NFL locker room. So I wonder if it was kind of like clashing of, hey, we have these expectations for you, and you're not fulfilling them, and then maybe Ramsey is the guy that if he's going to hear some criticism on him, he's probably going to snap back at you. And I could totally see a plausible scenario where Ramsey and McDaniel didn't see eye to eye. They're different personalities entirely. And maybe Ramsey is fed up with a lot of the, maybe his coaching style compared to how most NFL.
Well, I could see McDaniel in his goofy way of going to Ramsey and saying, well, hey, we're going to need you to be more of a leader here and help us and all that. Why? Because they lost a bunch of leaders. They all left.
Right.
And that locker room lacks that, and that's not Ramsey's thing. And Ramsey's like, yo, man, you all don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't need to carry this burden. I don't have that much left. I'm getting the hell out of here. So I could see something like that because obviously McDaniel is, dude, when Chris Greer, okay, as much as I like Greer, McKenzie, and Allen, I know McKenzie's gone now, and overall, I think they did a pretty decent job in selecting personnel, who they kept, who they lost, who they hired as coaches. That's the stuff that really, I think, really screws them over, right? Okay, but I got to tell you something. What I saw the other day, I saw a defeated person. In did you not see a defeated person in Chris Greer? And when you look at everything going on, it's impossible to go to that table and be, with your chest out. The year before you won 11 games and you had all those injuries at the end, and I can look you in the eye and say, nah, you guys are worried about the offensive line more than we are. We're good. We won 11 games. Hey, brother, don't worry. I get the ball out quickly. They were all in the cocky mode. But this year, there's no cockiness. There's no 11 games. It's monster underachieving. It's people abandoning ship. It's no cap space. It's an unsexy free agency so far. I don't know if you want to be honest enough or you didn't see it that way. I don't know which one it is, but Chris Greer looked as defeated as I can see a human being ever at general manager.
No, I would agree with you. Aside from maybe a situation where a GM speaks after the fact once his tenure is gone, and then you're truly at that point just defeated in terms of you lost your job. But as far as a currently sitting general manager, yeah, I mean, sure, I got that vibe, and probably even evident before then how he switched up on not speaking at the NFL scouting combine on the record with the media, which now he never does the big podium thing like a lot of GMs do. He tries to keep it to a small circle of the traveling South Florida media that went to Indy, so that it's kind of just like all focused on the Dolphins, and you don't get a bunch of reporters from elsewhere that come up and they're like, oh, you know what? I'd like to ask him about this. And you get distracted with a bunch of other bullshit, which I prefer too, because I don't want all these other questions. I want to keep it to the Dolphin stuff.
Of course.
But he usually does that with us, and then did not have an on-the-record conversation there. So I think it was telling, like, it just kind of where it's going, where he's feeling. It's there was already a drawback in that sense. Like, he's going to do the minimum requirement in terms of speaking out in the media, which is just he does have to do a pre-draft press conference. So it's kind of like, all right, do I have to do it or not? All right, I have to do this one by league mandates. Yes, I'm going to. The other one, the combine stuff, I always do it because it's important, even though I'm not forced to. But this year there was a switch up in that regard. So I could kind of sense a little bit of that defeat. Like, it's like you don't have a bunch of great stuff to talk about. It's all going to be tough.
No, he's got nothing. He's got nothing to talk about, unfortunately. See, he was in a position where he had nothing to talk about, and there was not one thing, David, that he could say to defend himself, to reach anybody, to satisfy anyone in the media or the fans, because unfortunately, nothing has gone right. And so it's kind of rough, dude. Like, when I saw him, I was like, wow, like, he's done. Like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Because he just did not have anything. He couldn't defend anything that you guys could ask. It had to be some kind of story that really didn't make any sense for a lot of
But the T-shirt, it didn't make sense to you. the T-shirt gift. Yeah. Don't F this up.
I mean, it just, it doesn't make sense for him to even tell that story.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense for him to say that I've deferred too much. That, bro, people don't want to hear that. That's not. They don't want to hear after the fact that you made the mistakes. You're better off just falling on the sword, not like making excuses for why it didn't go well and this, that. You got to either just take the accountability, but when you dance around it and you start telling us, nobody believes a Ramsey story, bro. Nobody believes a Ramsey story. And it's just not a good story. And I get it. You don't want to make Ramsey look like the dick because he does that. He's great at that. He's always been classy about everybody that leaves or whatever. He doesn't diss anybody. He doesn't do, even if they want to leave or whatever, or either they're pushing him out. He always takes the high road. And there's no doubt Chris is a very likable dude, but wow, that was tough, man. That was tough because there was nothing he could ever say to satisfy anybody in that press conference. I don't.
Yeah. Which is what you're trying to do. Maybe some damage control because you understand the sense of the fan base right now. But at the end of the day, just people are feeling the way they're feeling. There's not much you can say about it. The only way they can change it is not even in next week. It's draft. It's winning next season. Yes. And the odds are more and more stacked against the team. People feel that. And then the only way would be if it's a surprise run that rallies people, or if the young core of last year's draft class and combined with this year's draft class starts to show incredible promise. And then you're like, oh my God, okay, wait, there's some potential here when you have these pieces. But aside from that, then yeah, people are down right now.
Yeah, it's just one of those. Oh, then there's still a lot of great free agents out there. Are there? Did you sense that there's a lot of great free agents out there?
Not great ones. I mean, maybe if you like, I still look at Asante Samuel Jr. at cornerback, but but a lot of those top cornerbacks have left. Actually, maybe there are a few there, but defensive linemen, then yeah, a lot of them have already gone by the wayside. So yeah, you're looking more slim there, but you're also bargain hunting because you're not putting up the big money to go and get the top-notch free agents that did get those contracts this offseason. So yeah, you got to go find a bargain. And one thing I do like about the D-line is last year they got like 4 or 5 guys in the first wave of free agency that then never stuck around. Like they didn't even make the team, like a Jonathan Harris, like a Neville Gallimore, which by the way, Gallimore ended up having a few sacks and big moments with the Rams. But like they added all these guys. Tier Tart never made it past training camp, even though he played well with the Chargers. But and then it never really. You were like, all right, where are all these guys once the season starts? So maybe they make a more calculated, economical move there. But yeah, I mean, you missed the first wave of free agency for sure.
All right, so let me ask you, because I think it's low-hanging fruit, and it's easy to say, okay, the GM's got to go, okay, because obviously all roads lead to him, every decision. How many people in your beat, you, Hal, Joe, Poop, Omar, Perkins, Hyde, I'm trying to think of people that go there a lot.
Yeah, did you say Barry?
Barry. How many of you have come out and said Mike McDaniel should have been fired last year?
How many of us feel that way?
Yeah,
maybe
because I know that Al Krabs does. Because I in one of my rants I was like, I don't hear anybody even at All Dolphins or something. What's his site called? Is it All Dolphins or what's it called?
No, that's Poop.
That's Poop. What's his called?
Well, he's with the 33rd team, but I think he's moving on from them.
No,
right?
he's moving on from that. No, but the other one, the Dolphins, whatever it's called. I see. I even forgot the name now. I'm brain farting. Mm-hmm. I nailed it at that moment. I go, are they, because I've been saying it for a while that this guy needed to be fired from the Colts game on, right? So how many of you out there are on the record, written it, talked about it, said McDaniel's a major problem here with everything? How many of you?
Well, I know from our end of the Sun Sentinel, definitely Dave Hyde has been big on that in that regard. Perk has said
on both guys, obviously. Yes.
yes, yeah, and even recently, in reacting to the Ramsey saga, put out another one like this feels like a rebuild, except for one big aspect to it, which is the two guys at the top are still around. So he's been big on that for a while.
By the way, ballsy job asking the question.
Hmm?
Ballsy job asking the question. The rebuild.
Oh,
Yeah, bro. It made the headline in Pro Football Talk. Yeah. So.
about was it the rebuild one?
Yeah, your
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Right. Yeah, not a rebuild. Yeah, it was one that needed to be asked. Like, all right, is this what we're doing right now, or what? Which we talked about. We knew that he would say he's got a win.
They don't sell it that. They don't sell it that way, but that's exactly what's
if it looks like a rebuild, if it smells like a rebuild, no, it's not a full-on rebuild, that's for sure. You still have a lot of the core players, but that's also contractually obligated because of what you did last offseason. But so Hyde has been on it. Perk has said that he believes, based on what they've done, they should be, and has called it the most disappointing era compared to expectations. But he also was, yeah, right. I mean,
I agree. Nailed it.
Yeah, I'm with him there because compared to expectations, yeah, this team should have been.
The last 2 years, those rosters were pretty good, dude. And I know, okay, 2 years ago at the end, you were so injury riddled, fine, but during the regular season, you should have produced more. You should have won more games, and you didn't. You know, last year you should have won easily 3 to 5 more games. Easily, you should have won. Easily, you should have won 3 games with the talent you had, and you didn't. So that's why I'm interested. So Krabs and Hyde want McDaniel fired. Who else?
So Perk has said they should be based on what they've accomplished, but that he understood, like, all right, with the core there and how you need to win this year, like you got to just see it through, which is kind of like, which I feel that way, which is you couldn't do it last year. You couldn't just go from 1 year, everyone's getting contract extensions, to now everyone's gone after 1 year. I feel like you need to at least let them have this season, and then that's when you can make the big moves if it goes awry once more.
Can I add a caveat to that on top of all of that? If you ever have to write this article, it's not just next year, buddy. If you would have blown everybody out and brought them in for this year and next year, they have so many cap hits that you could not expect a new general manager or a new coach, whichever one or both. If you only hire one or both, it doesn't matter. It'd be unfair to expect anything from them over the next 2 years because of all the cap hits that you're going to suffer this year and next year. The Dolphins, as I've already talked about, are 3 years away from starting the rebuild. So that's why they brought these guys back, because why are you going to hire somebody new, and a really good person is going to say, shit, dude, I got to bite the bullet for 2 years before I even can start to really build it in my vision. A lot of people aren't going to want to do that, David. So you let it fall for what it is here on the sword. And if these guys surprise us, great. And if they don't, all right. Well, now we can go find somebody, and they understand that the first year they got to deal with 1 more year of the Tua contract. And if he plays well, great. And if he doesn't, then you can move on. And other contracts, the Chubb and other all kinds of stuff that you're going to take hits and everything else. So that's the problem with all of this, dude. You're really 2 years away from cleaning a lot of this mess and dealing with all the cap hits and dead cap money.
Yeah. Well, that's how it'll have to be sold, is that it is the start of a rebuild. If, all right, let's play out the scenario where next season goes awry and you do start brand new, then those seasons where you're taking on those cap hits, those have got to be the years where you're clearing out as much of that talent on the roster as possible. You're essentially, it's the forbidden word in the NFL, but you're tanking. And you're trying to get one of the highest draft picks in what would then be, the 2026 draft. Next year, 2027, while you're still taking those cap hits, so you can start the infusion of the young talent for another couple of drafts. Before then, you clear out that cap space and you can find that core that you're building with, along with the new veterans that you're going to form the team around in a few seasons. So, yeah, it's going to be a difficult situation, but that's one where I would sense if it goes awry, then that's where the rebuild begins. While you're still, all right, we're seeing it through on those cap hits. While we have little talent on the roster, good luck winning with this roster. We're going to end up having a high draft pick out of it, and that's how the future is built after that, which would take another several seasons to finally see the fruits of that.
High draft pick, huh? High draft pick. Let's get motivated for that, right? Because Jake Long was here for a long, long time after being a high draft pick, huh? Deion Jordan, he was here for a long time after being a high draft pick, huh? Ronnie Brown, good player, but he was well worth the number 2 pick in the draft. And Tua Tagovailoa and all the injury history. Man, isn't it fun when we have a top pick? There's another article for you. Isn't it fun when we have a top pick? Because, of course, our top picks end up with us forever. That's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, like let's take a look at the history of the Dolphins when they have a top 5 draft pick.
Oh, my God. I was just, when you mentioned that, I just went and did a little list quickly, and I'm like, oh, shit, it's been terrible every time we have a draft. Every time we have a high draft pick, we're high when we make the pick or something. I don't know, but it's.
That's what they mean by high draft pick.
Yeah.
Not that it's up there.
No, it's not that it's up there. We're up there. We're waiting. We're in space with the Blue Crew. Okay, that's where we're at right now. All right, we'll talk draft on Tuesday, since we'll get you on Tuesday, and then we'll talk on Friday to recap the first round and preview the second round overall. You're not hearing anything on Ramsey moving at all, right? Because I think this is going to be a problem for them, dude. I don't think there's going to be like this robust market for Ramsey at 21 million, to be quite honest. And I don't know, maybe they're going to have to take on. Here's the other thing: if they have to take on salary, please educate me. How much worse does it make it for them if they have to take on salary, like they did with Ryan Tannehill, in order to get a 4th round pick in return? They took a certain amount of salary back. How does that affect their cap space too?
Yeah, that might be an issue. I have to sharpen up on how, because I understand the cap hit goes up, but as far as if you're taking some of that salary, how that affects
add on to it, because you're taking the cap hit from the bonus that was already given. Okay, so now if you have to pay salary in order to better the pick to get back, then, bro, educate me there, bro. You got to write about that, please. Tell us. I'm not exactly sure, but it sounds to me in the math that you start losing more space. No good. No good.
Well, I think that's why they got him at such a cheap price when they got him from the Rams. It was exactly that. It was a 3rd round pick and Hunter Long, which is a steal on paper, right? But the reason being because it's taking on that salary. So, and still mind-boggling how the Rams have now passed the Dolphins since they were rebuilding from setting him away. And Jalen Ramsey was coming to the Dolphins with the expectation of going to a contender. My goodness, how are we here?
Sean McVay is a superior coach.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford understands the game of, I can't move, but I'm not going to go out and seek contact. Somehow or another, he understands I must get rid of football. Oh, you intercepted me? Go ahead. See you later. I'm not chasing you, but our guy, he thinks he's Jim Brown. He thinks he's Mike Singletary. So he thinks he can take on tacklers and tackle people. So, it's a whole different ballgame with our guy. Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
That's one thing Tua would have to pick up. But, it makes it a difficult situation. And, I think you're just adding on to that cap hit. And it would just make it way more tougher to operate, considering you're already sort of just using what you have to sign these 10 draft picks that are coming in. And you have some maneuverability to sign some cheaper free agents on the second end of things. But you're going to be pretty strapped for cash, and even more so after this.
Looks like a 6-rounder that could become a 5th with playing time. And you're lucky we're taking him off your hands. That's the kind of deal I think that's they're looking at when it's all said and done. All right, what do you got going on in the South Florida Sun Sentinel so Dolph fans around the world can check you out, sir?
Yeah, this week I have posted about the Dolphins' situation at defensive tackle and at DB. So a lot of new stars, an overhaul of the secondary is what it is now with this Ramsey trade development. And then on the D-line, how they still have a lot of work to do around Zach Sealer. And this weekend, I'll also be posting about the South Florida locals in the draft. So make sure you know who the South Florida guys, the guys that are homegrown, came out of the local high schools, winning state championships and all that, as South Florida teams tend to do. How many of them are now starting their NFL journey in this draft. And I probably will come out with a mock draft 2.0. I don't have to. I'm only
really? Your editor's not forcing you? Your editor's not forcing you to do that garbage?
Well, at the beginning of the month, we had the whole draft breakdown, and then I was just on for one mock draft. But now, since mine was before this Jalen Ramsey thing, I might have to come out with a new one.
Yeah.
2.0.
What's it called? Tony Pauline, we had him on yesterday. He's got us taking Will Johnson.
Yeah, and is it sticking at 13? Because that's my whole thing is that I wonder if the 49ers take him at 11, they have a whole new defense. So I've got my eye on them as far as that's who I mocked him going to.
But they also need help big time on the offensive line.
Yeah, they do. But here's the other thing. I had the top 3 linemen.
They may be the team that takes Kelvin Banks, and that's why he won't be there for Miami. Something like that.
Well, like I had the Bears taking Kelvin Banks, right? And then with the 3 linemen gone, then that's why I didn't go lineman for the Niners. Then I had them taking corner. So you might need a trade with the Bears to get in front of the 49ers because they got a lot of the same needs.
If I'm the Dolphins, I would not be giving up anything. They cannot afford to do it. Just wait for the best player to land to you, whoever that is. You should be, bro. There's going to be a really good player for you at 13.
There will be. Yeah.
You just can't reach. You just got to take the best player. The beauty for the Dolphins now, dude, you need so many damn positions. Nobody can really complain if they took a guard tackle, if they took a defensive tackle, if they took a corner, if they took a high-level safety. People are going to understand if you made any. Why? Because you need every one of those damn positions. The running back might be the one that we would all look and go, yo, man, come on. That even though Genty and the other kid, what's it called?
Amari Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton. He looks like a pretty good player too, but that's not what you take if you're Miami. But pretty much everything else, it's there for you, bro. Right. Nobody can complain,
You can't be mad at it. Maybe also wide receiver because you still are planning on having Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle together. So, if you were moving Tyreek Hill, then I
1 year you really don't have to because you should be, and you signed the big kid from Tennessee. So if anything, and Waddle should elevate next year, and you'll keep the Tennessee kid, and you've got
Washington,
right? And you've got Jonnu. So really, the receiver is for next year when Tyreek is gone, and Waddle then gets elevated and the other guys get elevated to carry on more of the load. That way you can bring the rookie along a little. So this year, you can't like say, oh my God, it's terrible, but it's really not suggested to take that receiver in the first round right now. That's not really a priority right now when those other positions, dude, they're major priorities for them. Major, big time.
Yeah.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel and subscribe. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, sir. Have a great weekend.
You got it. Welt Rheaume, bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, 954-966-4646. Check out the website, wrflalaw.com. They've helped so many of our listeners, man, over the years now, and listeners in Central Florida, listeners on the West Coast, and obviously here in South Florida. No listeners yet, I've been told, in the Panhandle. But we're waiting. They can take care of you. 954-966-4646.